Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. This is the Bottom Liberia. We're coming to you live from Europe, and tonight we have with us a guest based in the UK. We'll be talking to on AI. And tonight in the driver's seat is His Excellency Kai Mike Farr, who will be taking us through. You'll be introducing our guest. I'll introduce our guest before then. Kai will take us through. Then I'll introduce our guest. Mark,
Yeah,
how are you today, sir?
I'm good, Brother Jama and
Okay.
Brother Noah. Welcome to the bottom line
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
and
All
greetings
right.
to our many listeners back home and wherever you are.
All right. Just to let you know, this is another edition of Borderline. Comes every Tuesday and Friday. Today we'll be talking purely about business, no politics. We'll be discussing issues with AI, which is artificial intelligence. So tonight with us, we have a special guest whose specialty is IT. Is a CEO and managing director of SIG Technology, who is currently doing some business in Liberia and also in the neighboring countries in the Ivory Coast. He just came off Liberia recently, and he'll be talking to us about his development, his trips, and some success. So Max will be taking you through, but just to let you know, if wherever you are, share the show. We're on Facebook, YouTube, online radio. This is the Bottom Liberia live from Europe. Mark, over to you, sir.
Yeah. Greetings, Brother Noah, again. And
No,
greetings,
thanks for
Jama.
having me. Thank you.
Yeah. I'd like to welcome you to the bottom line on behalf of, our other colleagues that are not here, or panelists that are not here. So, uh, can you introduce yourself a little bit, your background to the Liberian people?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you for having me. Bro Jimmy has already mentioned something about me. My name is Noah Sharif, and I did both my BSc and Master in Computer Science. And I've been working in IT for the past 14 years and been fortunate that some of my courses has to do with data science, which include also AI. So I do have some knowledge about AI, which I wish to share with the public, to your viewer today. And yeah, with regard to business, we're trying to go back to Liberia and see how best we can help Motherline in the process of digital transformations of the country, which will also enable a lot of other activities in IT, basically.
Yeah, that was very good, Brother Noah. You talk about your background and you involve into this computer science and now that is driven by AI, right? So you as somebody who involved with business in Liberia and looking at the Liberian society, uh, like my colleague said, we're not going to be talking. He said we're not going to be talking politics, but I think we're going to involve a little bit of politics here because uh, when it comes to data management, right? Our
Mhm.
country, you've been into Liberia, and for example, like in the West, what we call Europe, America, Canada, Australia, they have a very strong policy on data management and looking at the way our people are involved with this. Computer, everything is done on the mobile phone. How or what can be put in place to protect the Liberian people, first of all, from their data being stolen and being misused by other forces out there? What do you think the government need to do to set up an institution to protect? It is your area. Can you talk to the Liberian people?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's a very good question. Thanks for asking me. As you'll be aware, in many of these European countries, we do have policy in place that actually protect data. So one thing I would say, first of all, before I go into the policy area, all free services on internet are not actually free. Everywhere they say free, like Facebook, Twitter, you become the commodity, right? So it means your data will be used by Facebook and Twitter to send advertisement, targeted advertisements to people that need it, and company buy these things from them. So that's their business model. That's how they make money. Now, when you talk about policy in places like Liberia, it becomes very tricky, right? Because Facebook and Twitter have been hosted on a very big system that we don't have in Liberia. So how do you force these companies to say? How do you force them to restrict Liberian data within the boundaries of Liberia? That become very, very difficult. In places of Europe, it's easy. It can be done easily. You have these hosting servers in these places, so you will have a local versions of Facebook, or maybe their data center will be in Europe, where they will store the European data on it. America will be the same. I think recently, European Union did fund Facebook a massive amount of money, I think in the billions, for illegally storing the European data on the American server. In Africa, I think what the government can do, in my opinion, is to start with process. I mean, is to start with the policy, probably acquaint themselves in that area and see how best that we can put policies in place. If not restricting Liberian data to Liberia, it can be restricted in Africa, for example. I'm sure you might have other countries in Africa that have the facility to host these big software,
Yeah, brother Joseph, talking about software, and I want to ask you a question because this area is a broader area, right? It's a big area where you got the finance ministry, for example, you got the commerce ministry, you got the national security, you got the military, you got the legislature. So the computer used in these different institutions, because some of these hardware that on the computer, for example, right? They have also backdoor channel from the producer of this company. So what can people like you do to help the government to not be vulnerable, for example, like our finance ministry, like our NSA, for example, like our military, like our health sector, to protect our data, for example, to encourage even more people to go into that field? There are three questions, a few questions in one. So can you elaborate a little bit? What can the government do to protect our institutions, for example, like the finance ministry? Things are done most, especially on paper. So what the government can put in place to protect our financial information, our police, how they call it, our healthcare sector, and you name it.
Yeah, let's first of all establish the fact that digital transformation of Liberia will happen, whether it happen now or later, but it's a matter of must that it will have to take place. So at the moment, we're using papers in these various ministry, but there will come a time that will no longer be possible. So the digital transformation will take place. So in that light, I think it's incumbent upon the government to put in steps to prepare the country for that. So one of the things like education, I'm not aware of any AI diploma being issued in Liberia. In other words, what I'm trying to say, I've not seen where courses like AI is being taught in Liberia, and that's a shame. So these are places that the government is supposed to come in, start preparing the nation towards that, because that's the future, Now you talk about protecting our finances. Finance ministry or our services. Ideally, it should be done by Liberian, I would say so. But you agree with me that in many parts of Liberia we have. I wouldn't want to use the term foreigners, but you have other people for other places. Working for us in these places. It is true that if we don't have the skill set in Liberia, I will argue that we should bring in people to do the job. The job has to be done, but the government should take steps to prepare Liberia to be doing this job. Now, in protecting our data, we talk about cybersecurity. That's a very important area. But how many certified cybersecurity people that we have in Liberia? So these are people these are people that look for people that want to hack our system. They'll put in place proper defenses against intruding a system. And given that we are on we are on these system, in fact, our data and all of that is being stored elsewhere, so we are vulnerable, you know. So I would say that the first thing that we can start with is to prepare the country, bring in the education required to prepare the country to work in this area, you know.
But Brother Joseph, I mean, speaking about bringing the human resource or the manpower to help to develop the area, I mean, the different sector, okay? For example, like cyber security and you name it. But I, I I want to believe there are few people like you within this field. So what if the government was to call upon you tomorrow to say, hey, I heard this guy talking on the bottom line and very knowledgeable. He's been working with this area for the past 10 years. Will you be willing to help the government build this institution or how best they can move from A to B in preparing the country, for example, because now the whole world is moving, the AI is taking over so fast, and we are at the bottom line as we speak. So, what service can you offer to the Liberian government or the next government to come to develop this area?
Now that's a very important question. I mean, we're not sitting waiting for government. I have realized that if you look at Liberia and you are in IT, you will realize that there's a lot of opportunity, right? And where there's a lot of opportunity, I mean, with your business mindset, you want to jump, you want to do something about that. So what I've been doing for the past three years is to come out with a model where we will train, develop application that we need in Liberia, and also sell our services even beyond the border of Liberia. So recently, we opened, an institution on Broad Street. I was there for 2 weeks ago. We took the building, and what we plan to do is to do consultancy in IT, first of all, where we'll be able to advise the government on the necessary software that they need. And if the need be, we as a company is willing to even build some of these software and go into some kind of arrangement with government where the government does not have to pay for these software, but then we can go into an arrangement for every process. I mean, for every usage that the government does on these application, that there is a percentage that go to our company. You know, we realize the fact that the government is in a difficult area, coming from civil war, all these times. So there might not be money to pay for these sophisticated software. But that's what we're trying to do. We will tell the government, look, you need software in these places, right? We as a company, we can provide these software for you. But then there will be an arrangement because we are a business as well. And then that's one aspect of our company. That's the consultancy bit that I'm talking about. I mean, we are also putting in place a vocational courses, which will strictly teach IT and IT related courses. So you talk about AI, you talk about database, big data, you talk about, developing software. So it's high time that we go beyond, as a nation, that we go beyond just teaching people Microsoft Word and then giving them certificate, telling them that they have done something with computer. That's extremely wrong, you know. I mean, these softwares these Microsoft application that we are teaching the youth in Liberia. Don't get me wrong; it's not wrong, but it's the tools that you can use to do your job. But it's not really a profession. I would argue that we should start. It's about time that we teach people like networking, database developer, AI, cyber security. We give people the real tools that they can do something with that for the nation, not just Word, Microsoft processing application. So that's exactly what we're trying to do. We have consultancy, education, vocational courses in IT, and then we also have a sector that is strictly focused on the development of application that is needed in Liberia. So there is, within that area also, there's even a partnership that we're trying to look at the PhD student as well as research student, which is people that are doing their master and PhD, so that they will do their PhD and masters on issues in Liberia, and then at the end of their study, they can come up with a recommendation if there is a need to build application. But then we can come in as a company, build these applications, but it should strictly be focused on what can help Liberia rather than blindly going to school, having these degree that we can't do anything with, So I hope that answers your questions.
Brother Jamal.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'll let Brother Jamal come in with one or two questions, Brother Noah, before I come back to you.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Just tell me, Mr. Sharif, if I'm sitting down somewhere around in Kakata and I come across Borderline on the show and we talk about AI, artificial intelligence, how can you explain to me in a common English? And what is it and what is the benefit? It's just simple. What is AI? What is someone called artificial intelligence? It could be a big word for many people that will be watching our journals right now. Can you put it down on the term of take out of technology, put it in the common understanding, let people understand what you mean by AI and what are we talking about here? What benefit does it bring to us?
Sure. I mean, I agree. I like the way you frame that question. Let's do away with the technology, right? Let's look at what AI is. I mean, there's a buzzword there. People use everything AI, but everything is not AI, And so AI is, they call it artificial intelligence. In a simple term, is we human transferring intelligence into machine to act like us. That is to be aware of their environment, to know the relationship between object and situation. Simply put, we trying to transfer intelligence to machine to behave like us. Okay, an example of that would be, cars trying to drive on their own, autonomous driving. Okay, that could be AI driven. But then there are two major aspects of AI that I would like to touch. We have what we call machine learning, even though you said we should remove the technology, but I'm just trying to clarify what actually AI is and what are some of the benefits. We have machine learning, and then we also have deep learning. Now, AI will not exist if you don't have data, which we do have in Africa, for example. We have almost many people on mobile generating tons of data on a daily basis, which some countries are capturing it and some countries aren't doing anything about it. So you need to have a data. You need to have what they call a model. A model is a software application where you will feed in a data and then it will come and predict certain things about the future. So now, AI, I'll repeat this, AI will not exist if you don't have data. Now, you don't have the model, the programming software, and you don't have these big, powerful machine to do the processing. Now, I'll talk about machine learning and deep learning. Machine learning, what machine learning does is that it look at your historical data. Let's take example, someone in the shop selling products and things. Every time people come, they buy a product. There's a data that is being generated, even though in many places in Liberia, we aren't doing anything with it. But let's say you will keep these data. So machine learning has already got a data, a history, right? So what they do, they cleanse the data, but I'm going to minimize the technology aspect. They cleanse the data, and then there's a programming model that they will feed in the data into that, and then based on previous experience, attributes and property of the situation, the model will predict an outcome, for a given situation. And then and that outcome will be added to the set of results within the application. That's what they call machine learning. That's how it learns itself on different situations. It look at the previous situation. When the new situation, it predicts an outcome, and then it add that outcome to the previous situation. So it has that. It has that kept. So the next problem that will come, it will use that as well to predict an outcome of the next issue, right? Now, the difference between machine learning and deep learning is that deep learning, you as a human being does not have to do anything. Deep learning, you only feed it with a reference data, right? You would say, let's look at a human picture, for example. How will AI recognize that this is a human being, right? So what it probably will do, you will show a photo of different kinds of human being, black, white, Arabic, Asian, and then the model itself, deep learning, will look at it will extract different unique feature set from that reference data that you have given it. And then the machine itself will learn to say, okay, if I see this in feature, this is how a human look like. It will look at your head. I mean, all the attribute of a human being, and then it will store that into a system. So the next time when you see someone like that, then they will know that this is a human being, And not going too deep into the technology, some of the applications of AI would be your surveillance camera, I mean, AI model is being trained to recognize people, to understand image, So surveillance camera is, fairly possible to use AI for that, in that if something happened, you can go back and look at those images and identify people from it. That can be one of the application of AI. And then also natural language processes. That is, I don't know what we have what they call Alexa here in the West, where you would tell it to do something like, tell me what the weather is today, and then it will verse that out. Those are part of a natural language processes. AI is also applicable in that. And like I said, I talk about the autonomous self-driving cars. You also, one of the common area where AI is used is in businesses, is where software issues, right? You have these different chatbots. You can go there, ask question, and because they have vast data set, they can go, and then they have been trained to recognize pattern. So like if you say, my computer isn't working, probably it will use that word isn't working. It recognize this pattern, and based on that, it will go and look at the data set that it has got and predict an answer to you. And the way these things work, it's not like there's no human intervention. That's not correct. They will train this machine. They will train what we call the model. Every time you will give it different set of information to see whether it's accurate. And then that's a repeated process. You would do that until you have a satisfactory answer from the model. So let me not go. Let me stop.
Go on.
Yeah.
Any follow, Jamal?
Yeah. Okay. Just quick question on that. I'm a businessman. I want to start business in Monrovia or somewhere in Banga or Kakata, and I'm just starting small. I don't know how can I start, and how can AI be useful to me?
A very good question, because what I've seen in Liberia is we creating pages on Facebook, and I'm not sure. For your common presence on the internet, that's good, but beyond that, it doesn't do anything. It's only helping Facebook to know that this product is what people buying, and then Facebook might add more advertisement whenever someone open that product. But for you as a business person, many will argue that when you're starting small, some will say non-essential things, you don't have to build those one. One of which would be they say don't build software, don't build website if you really don't need it, if it's not going to add value. And some would even argue that, you can create a page on Facebook, like I said, which is good. But if I'm starting in Liberia as a small business, one of the things I think you should have would be your own Facebook, would be your own website. You can have your Facebook page, but you will need to have a website. You need to have a digital presence. Now I will tell you how is that important and why. How you can use AI into that. I said the basic of AI would not exist if you don't have data, you don't have model, and you don't have the sophisticated machine. Now, the sophisticated machine, you can get that or even rent that for Amazon with all these AWS services. But your website is very, very important. When people visit your site, they leave what we call analytic. There's a data that can be captured. Google can do that for you. When people search on your application, Google will tell you how many people is searching your application. When a particular product that you sell, you can know how many times that product has been clicked. Someone can say they like it. These are all data that have been generated. Now, that will help you as a business person to actually do what we call actionable decision. So your decision will be based on facts, not based on what you think, right? So you have you have 2 or 3 products on your website. One is being clicked more than the other. That obviously will tell you that that one is the one that people are mostly interested in as much as you will do more to improve that. You also want to know why is it that other product isn't being clicked, on the internet. So these are the kind of information that having your own website will give you in a nutshell, So I will repeat that if one of the best way is to have your own digital presence. And now to link it to what you say about AI, if you get a huge amount of data that has been generated on your website, you can feed that into your AI model, and your AI can predict what should be your next step. I'll give you an example. Here in the West, some of these shops that we go to have got a camera, a surveillance camera hanging in there, because they have trained their AI model to identify who is a young person and who is an old person, who is a female. So the AI, those cameras are capable of capturing those data as people come into the shop and go out. So what they do, they will feed that data into the AI model, and AI will predict to these shop owners what kind of a clothes they should buy. Should they be all young people? Should they be older people? Should they be women? So these are some of the benefit of AI in businesses.
Yeah, thank you, bro, Sharif. I asked you a question before, and I think you forgot to answer the question. So, for example, you are involved into the software building, right? And sometimes you buy some of these, how they call it, different component from other companies. So how can people be assured, for example, if the finance ministry was to give you a contract, or the legislature to give you a contract, say, okay, we want you to be our IT person to protect whatsoever information besides what is being argued in parliament, and how to store this information and give you, for example, you and your team to work 24 hours around the clock, because you people handle the data management and whatsoever. But how sure are you, for example, I've heard about CDC, Center for Data Control, I think is an American company, and you have you have software like Promise that was also an American Jewish company. But most of these software, sometimes they have backdoor channel that people are not aware of. So what can people like you do to protect, for example, the backdoor channel, to close it, or say, hey, this thing is not guaranteed because there's a backdoor channel that other, how they call this, intelligent institutions are feeding from this particular software that you buy. Can you speak to the Liberian people about that?
Yeah, sure. I will say this: when you talk about software, it's not a must that you must use third-party program, right? The government has options; they can choose to build their own application, right? And then can be built by a Liberian and controlled by Liberian, because our sensitive area, you don't just trust that to third-party software. Now, I said to you that we are a software company, so we develop application. At the moment as we speak, we are developing a fintech app, a financial app, which is even now in the license process in the Central Bank of Liberia. So it's me and my guys that are developing that. That's our own product that we are developing. So as a company, we have the skill set to develop whatever software, be a website, be a mobile application, be it a desktop application, whatever software that the government want, or any other institution in the country. And that's exactly the reason that we have opened our head office in Liberia, even though I'm in London at the moment as we speak. But our head office is in Liberia. And that's also the reason that we are teaching the youngsters in Liberia the skills needed to manage software like that, So if if the government of Liberia or the finance ministry want a particular software, they will probably have a requirement. We as a software person will go to them, understand what is it they want to do, and then we'll come out with a proposal to develop the software for them. Now, if we agree, we can develop that software and then we can also maintain it for them. And then there will be, like I said, there has to be a government policy in place regarding these things. And then we being because we have the expertise in this area. Whenever I'm called upon for the motherland, I'm more than willing to discuss these things with the relevant authority so that we put in proper policy in place. But I can guarantee you a software that is built by Liberian, maintained by Liberian, and for Liberia will have no backdoor channel, because it would be all Liberian product.
And I want to come there with my next question before I go to Jamal. Talking about Liberian being involved and protected by Liberian, which I believe that should be the case. Have you talked? Have a thought about what you call because like in Sweden here we have what they call the Bureau for Statistics, right? So I want to believe in Liberia we don't have such institution where there's called the Bureau for Statistics. So you in the AI world, in the computer world, have you thought about such idea and partnership with the government, for example, to have a Bureau for Statistics?
Yeah, I think Liberia will have a statistic done administrate, but yeah, you're right. I don't think that it has been digitally transformed, which it has to. Like I said, we have vast data that has been generated on a daily basis, but we don't have application that are capturing it. And to answer your question, yes, that's one of the areas we're going to be very active in. First and foremost, I must say here that we should be. It's very difficult what the government and other peoples are trying to do in Africa. I bet in the West here, without a proper data analytic, giving them what the situation is, they will not be able to function. That's just a fact. You will hear these ministers every time they're giving them the statistic. This is what happened. This is the number of people that are in hospital. This is so they have these information before them. So it's easy for them. It's easy for a minister or a secretary of state in the UK to take proper decision than it is for someone in Liberia, a minister. Because
exactly.
I would argue that they don't have the necessary information. So there where people like in the IT need to come in, to first of all capture these information. We need to find a way to capture. How do you do that? Like in the hospital, for example, we need to find a way to transform that paper way of doing.
We got you frozen, Sherry.
He gone frozen.
Yeah, brother Jamal. I wanted to ask him, even though he's frozen now, but when he come back, talking about because it's a huge area for the government to cover. You understand?
It
and
is.
without government involvement, even though he coming from the private sector, but the government will still have to have some bureaucracy in place to protect.
Hello?
Brother Sherry is back. So you're talking about the how they call this protection and government involvement, right? But what if you were to have the opportunity to sit with, for example, the speaker, right, or people within the legislature to tell them about the importance of, the computer science and technology that, for example, I give you country like Singapore, right? I think Liberia and Singapore should be on the same amount of population. I could be wrong, right? But Singapore is, far ahead when it comes to infrastructure, even though I'm trying to make some similarity here when it comes to population. But Singapore, they are all into the technology world. So if you were to sit with the lawmakers looking at the young Liberian, they are very engaged, they are very active on the social media. What proposal will you be making to the government for the government to be able to carry on vice education, for example, like the Southeast? What we're talking about now, people in the Southeast, maybe very few children are privileged to having, first of all, computer and internet access, which is one of Mr. Cummings' main focus, to carry on massive improvement in the communication, the technology sector. So what proposal will you be making to the government, for example, to opening a school for some of these, our human resource capacity, because everybody cannot be politician, but some of them have skills, they will be interested in it. What policy will you be putting, for example, to a speaker or to some of the lawmakers to encourage them into investing in this area?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Do you hear me?
Yeah, now.
Hello?
Yeah, go on.
We hear you, Sherry.
I think you still have a difficulty. I think you need to log out and come back in. Anyway, Mark, while our guest is struggling to gather through, I think you have to log out to come back in. I think these are challenges for government in terms of
sending a text, bro. You might let him log out and come back in.
I'll let him know that he should log out and come back. But in the meantime, Mark, with regard to the questions you are raising right now, the common education, the conventional educational program we have, most of our government is not even putting funds into that. So it's a challenge, a big challenge where you put this AI in the IT programs. So it's going to be a tough game. I don't know how they're going to go around this, but it's a very, very good question. I hope that you can give us some answers. Do you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. Sorry about that.
Did you get my colleague questions about government support for?
I did. With regard to what the government can do, right? I'll look at, first of all, I'll start with the data. Internet is extremely expensive in Liberia. And I think that's within the government remit to do something about it. Maybe increase, many companies to take part in it. So maybe that will decrease the price. The irony is that, the more services that we provide, if we transform Liberia into a digital, transform it digitally, that will create more revenue for the government, But the data is extremely expensive. Now, if you're going to teach software, if you're going to teach these advanced courses, the internet is key. Students will need to do a lot of research on their own, So first of all, let have that data at affordable price for students. That's one. And secondly, let encourage and support these institutions that are providing these content, and are you hearing me?
No, go on. We are hearing very well.
Yeah, my internet freeze right there. I don't know.
We are hearing very well.
Sorry about that. So yeah, like I was saying, the data has to be something that the government can do about that. And again, the government need to really look at the curriculum, people that are teaching IT in Liberia, and then look at it. The government need to be aware what is being taught there, whether it's relevant to the country. We need to encourage IT learning activities in Liberia. Like Jamal was saying, it's a tough area, but we need to take a step. If you compare Liberia with Ghana, for example, you realize that even the AI that we're talking about, Ghana is doing very well in the area of AI. It is the first university, I think it's Ghana City University, was the first university in Africa to offer a degree in AI. You know, we'd like to see similar things in different universities in Liberia. These are these are the technology of the future. Liberia cannot afford to be left behind. You
Yeah,
know.
you know, we did not include politics, but there's no way that we can get around this thing without involving politics, right? Because even you talk, as you speak about the AI, electricity is one of the main important factors here. Because without electricity, there's no way you can get, I mean, the AI or the computer improvement across the country. The both of them, they are like twins. And government want to provide electricity, and later on, before the private sector or people in the private sector come to buy. So, and talking about this computer something, you know, most of our institutions still do filing, you know, document filing by paper, but this area has a huge, I mean, opportunity for employment and the human resource capacity. So I wish that, I mean, when you visit Liberia, you get to talk to some of our lawmakers, some of our politicians. For example, like Mr. Cummings, as I stated before, he one of the person, the politician, you know, even though one cannot put their whole political, I mean, ideology or philosophy or whatsoever plan, it would take thousands of volume of, you know, writing. So, but they just put the pieces here and there. And he's one of the person who, I mean, I want to say he's a freak when it comes to technology, electricity, and roads infrastructure development. So I wish one day you visit Liberia, you get to meet Mr. Cummings and talk to him how you've been working in the area for the past 10 years. And you are very knowledgeable to develop our people across the country. But then coming back to you now, uh, you talk about the national bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got something going with the bank. Now we got all kind of banking sector. I mean, we got different banking sector from across Africa, some from, I think, a few European countries, and then two, you're looking at the business sector across the country. We don't have a statistic to know how many business register in the country. For example, have you thought about that? Talk to the government, for example. We need to catalog these businesses, how many businesses in the country, and how they move cash from one end to another. I come from, example, from XYZ country. I enter Liberia with nothing, but all of a sudden, I got 4, 5 stores. You understand? Can you speak to the Liberian people as to what the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
government can do to have some sort of a regulation in place and control in place? Because without the computer involvement, we don't have a actual statistic as to how things are moving around in the country.
No, sure. And to be frank, that's as a business person, I'm approaching that as an opportunity. And I'm willing and ready to talk to any government minister if it comes to motherland, you know, and to provide my expertise in this area. But my approach to these things um, is I recognize what we're trying to do. We recognize these issues, and then we develop application to solve these issues, and then we'll put it before the government to say this is our proposal. Now, I am, like I said previously, I'm aware that with the financial constraint of the country, you know. So, as a business person, our approach is to develop these applications ourselves, put it before the government, and then we'll come out with some kind of arrangement so the government does not have to pay, or they don't have to pay all the fund to do this software development. But to be frank with you, the truth is, if Liberia must go forward, we need these digital transformation. We need the way you can. My approach. I'm not political in nature anyway. I'm a business person and a technocrat. But I would say this: you there has to be visibility to change something. If you don't know what the issue is, I'm not sure if you can change it. So visibility is key. How do we have visibility in Liberia? By digitally transforming our activities so that if you're buying something, you ought to buy it with a cashless application, for example. That's been recorded. For example, we know that John Brown bought bread from this shop on this street at this time with this amount, you know. So that's visible, and that's something that the government can do about that. So like when people are not paying tax, the government can say, okay, John Brown or the shop owner, these are the product that you sold, right? This is the amount that you got. This is the tax that you owe the government. Why didn't you pay it? So that's the actionable record right there that the government can do something with. So the key again is visibility, visibility, and visibility. And you can't have that if you don't digitally transform your services.
And you kind of frozen. We're not hearing you.
Oh, sorry about it.
I want to add another more question to, as you spoke about the internet being expensive in Liberia. Why you think, is it because there are just few companies in the country that provide? Joseph, we're not hearing you. I mean, Sharif. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why they. Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, we're hearing you. But why you think the internet is so expensive in Liberia? Is it because of there are just very few companies, or?
Yeah, I'm not very sure what the reason is, but I'm aware even when I'm there. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we are hearing you very loud and clear.
Yeah, so I'm not sure why that's the case, but it has come to my notice that it's very, very expensive. And I'm like, if we had to change, if we have to encourage people to do things digitally, if we have to encourage people to do things digitally, then one of the things that has to be affordable is the data. So it could well be that because there are fewer companies and
right. Yeah. It's
hello?
gone. Yeah, we hear you. Okay, I think we're
Yeah,
having some
I'm not
issue.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you keep going off and on. It's all right. We're trying to we are losing you a bit a while. Are you hearing us now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Mark, you still have questions for him?
Yeah, no, it's not actually a question because I mean, looking at from what he's been saying and what we've been monitoring in Liberia, for example, I don't want to believe even some of the banking sector, they got what they call night service, right? So like here, if I got problem 1 or 2 transaction, I can pick up the phone, or if my card, I try to pay for something.
You have to wait until 10 o'clock in the morning, Mike.
Yeah, so these are areas that people in a I mean IT area can chip in, for example, sell these services to our government. So even, for example, like there are a few institutions, as I speak now, I can pick up the telephone and call their night services. They got IT people that will give me the information that I want. So these are areas that we I mean, Jamal, you got any question?
Yes, I got a couple of questions. I want to go back to Noah. Noah, you said with the advantages, the benefits.
I'm very, very sorry. I don't know.
You don't hear us?
No, I hear you now, but I don't know why the line keep on dropping.
Yeah, keep cracking. It happens sometimes with the system. We're talking about IT, you know, we're having challenges with the internet section. So it's very quite interesting. Anyway, you just talk about some benefits of IT or information technology. You talk about increase AI, like AI increase efficiency, improve customer service. Experience. It help you to make better decisions as a business. It's also cost saving, right?
Absolutely.
Are you with me? Okay.
Yeah, I'm with
now
you.
You come to you talk about all you've been saying today is about data. Now we have a limited access to data. That's one of the things in Africa. When you come around, where you will see that many businesses in Africa do not have the access to necessary data sets. That's one question. You just said that how do you collect them? Then the question comes to you, Noah. You just say you came back from Liberia, and you look in our system. We don't have the resources to put up school, and education is quite expensive. More especially teaching people IT. We know most schools right now, some schools don't even have a IT labs where they have computer lab. I mean, not IT, computer lab to be frank, specific, where they allow the kids or students to go in during the
Mhm.
period and just learn. When they learn software application, they don't learn beyond that. When they, Microsoft
Mhm.
applications, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, that's the basic thing to do. And computer, I mean, in Word and other and Windows, that's the most basic thing to do nowadays. Now you come in with this program with the artificial intelligence, and the people
Mhm.
can't
Mhm.
afford it. You want to bring the skill set in Liberia. What will you do? My question would be lack of expertise. What will your company do to develop? Consider that I got 2, 3, we got some students in Liberia. Some Liberians want to do this study. They don't have the funds. And you just told us right now you want to work with the government. Government should not pay you, or you can share some percentage. What about Liberians that want to learn? They got the skills and develop them, and we invest in the high. What is your company looking at that? How are you looking at that area?
Yeah, what we trying to do in order to cut down costs, we will have placement for students, as to do our courses. So they will have short courses, we'll have boot camp, and we will also have placement. And these placement will be done within our company. Now, students that prove that the brighter one, the good ones, or we will all be there to support people. But one of the way we're trying to cut down costs is students will be working with us doing their placement, depending how dedicated and good they are. We might also.
No. Let me take you back. Let me hold you. If I don't have an idea, I'm interested. I don't want to get you back. Sorry for interrupting. I just want to get it clear. Probably didn't get my question. If I'm interested to do IT, I want to do AI, and I
Mhm.
want to work in the Ministry of LAR or Liberian Revenue Authority, or I want to work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or certain area in the ministry, and I want to work in Liberia in any area in the area of IT, but I don't have the
Yeah.
money to start with, and you have the school. Is there any means like you just told us that you want to work with the government may not have money to pay you as a company, but you have a deal with the company. If you had a chance to sit with them to come over, they will pay you in a way that you can compensate you because it's too expensive. What about
Mhm.
Liberia? Looking at our kind of source of income in Liberia, is in a way your company is putting a program together that help those one that at some time they pay tomorrow, learn today and pay tomorrow. Any process like that, just put in simple English.
Yeah, we just moved to Liberia, so maybe that's an area that we take on board. But what the research that we have done in Liberia, the schools that are there, we look at their tuition, how much students are paying to them. We will either match that, even though we'll be giving a very expensive courses, we will match that, and or we will reduce it in a way that to encourage many people to come to do these school. And one other thing, if I may, that I will add is if you are working in the government, or you want to work for government and you have no knowledge on IT, we will regularly be having boot camp, which could be a week or maybe even 5 months, depending your areas that you want to specialize. It could be project management, it could be AI. We will have these boot camp, and then we will train you. We give you an idea and train you, and then from there, hopefully that you can take it from. Hopefully that you can either be employed given the skills that we will give you, or we can find other means that you continue your education.
All right,
I don't,
Mark.
I don't know, I don't know
No,
whether
no.
that.
Yeah, it's okay. I understand that. You just said to me that
Because
you.
the reason I wouldn't want to do that commitment, we would first of all need to know, get sponsor for students in that area, probably offering scholarship, and maybe allow them, like what you suggested, allow them to learn with us and then later pay us back. One thing I would say, the fact that we have a company, given the competence of that person, if I were to see a mathematician and maybe a highly science oriented student, a young man, right, that is or a young lady that's good in math and science, as a company, I will sponsor such a person, because I know if you're working in AI, these are some of the people that you need that can really make difference. So that tells you that exceptional skills will always be supported by us as a company. But that's not applicable to everybody, if you understand what I mean.
All right. While I wait for my colleague to come, you may have some questions. So I still want to take you to another one where we look at the AI, I want you to address the ethical concerns of AI. You know, when I mean ethical concern, I want to just mean like in terms people are thinking about, they are concerned about the potential impact of AI, artificial intelligence, yeah, on the jobs and society as a whole. Particularly in Africa, Liberia in particular, case in point, where there's a high level of unemployment, you know, and AI is coming that could slash the job, like 80% going to IT. So 20% going to well-skilled people. So there's an ethical concern about AI impact. That's a negative impact. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that absolutely. You're right there, bro, Jimen. There is a concern, especially like I said, data entering application will definitely be replaced by AI, and then you have the call centers, right? Will definitely be replaced by AI. We're seeing it now. You have all the chatbot people would rather go there and post their question, and they will chat with an application, AI related application. But also, Liberia at the moment, many businesses are analog, you know. So in that sense, I'm not sure how soon AI will start impacting Liberia, given that the digital transformation is extremely slow. But my take on this is that this has always been a case, you know. When internet came, people said similar things, but these technology come with a lot of opportunities. So we as a society must grasp the opportunity. There will be some job that will be lost, but then we will need to train people to actually grasp the opportunity that AI brings, you know, or digital transformation brings. I hope that answer your question.
I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Having said that, I just wanted to add to the whole conversation something little.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for example, in Sweden here, right? There are a lot
Okay.
of Indians, Pakistani that come to Sweden. They don't speak Swedish, right? But
Mm-hmm.
they are working for companies across Sweden in the computer sector. So it's one of the areas that Liberia government can invest in heavily instead of our students just being uh, political, how they call it, what the term again. Every now and then they are protesting here and there. Everything is about political science, political science. So I think it's one of the areas the government can look at, which can help to bring foreign investment capital to the country.
Mm-hmm.
So if the government were to invest, for example, before the war, even before the war, there were a lot of Liberians at that time. Computer were not too much, but people were going to computer science, doing basic computer, programming here and there. So now is the time that the government need to invest in, because without a computer, our institution, first of all, we can have any data system, we can store any record. So you need people, even in the healthcare sector, you
Mm-hmm.
need people. Nurses have to be computer, literate. You need doctors; they have to be computer literate. You go to foreign ministry, you want to process document, people have to be computer literate. You go to the finance ministry, the same thing everywhere. Everywhere you need computer, education. So it's an area that the government need to take into consideration, or the next government need to. For me, I rest assured that Mr. Cummings is going to do a lot to empower Liberian human resource in our capacity. So, Brother Sheriff, you somebody very knowledgeable. I believe you guys are few out there that can go back home and help to what if you guys were to come together and say, hey, we built a school or establish an educational center to offer like 5-6 more courses to Liberian to get on their feet to be able to do just basic computer programming.
Yeah, I mean that's what I said. That we will have boot camp, what we call boot camp. So that boot camp may last for um, it can last for a month, it might also be for 5 months. And the idea is to really introduce AI, I mean computers knowledge as a whole to the society, you know. So some of those boot camp will be free, some will be payable, but we hope to make majority of it free, so people can subscribe to them, and then where we will take them will show them these are the different areas of computer education, and these are the impact of the on the country, and this is how you then business people to tell them the opportunity within the computer area. Because one thing I've realized is no longer the case that people do not have. I mean, internet is expensive. Don't get me wrong, but you have many Liberians on the internet. You know, you have them on Facebook. It's just because we're not providing any services that people can use. But if we as a as a people in this area and business people come together to create services and tell the Liberian people, if you want to shop, you don't even have to leave your house. You can shop. Let's say if you want to change your money from one currency to the other, you can do everything with your app. You know, if the businesses were to take advantage of that, and I think that's one of the places that the government can really work on, encouraging small businesses to look at the opportunity being provided. You know, we will do our bit as IT specialists in school. We will introduce it.
So before we go any further, is there any information you want to share with the Liberian people as to how they can contact you and through what means?
Yeah, sure. I mean, SIT will be is already in Liberia, but very soon will be everywhere. We're working on the advertisement and all of that. But I'll also leave my information with Brother Jimé and yourself, you know. So in case people want to contact me, I'm on Facebook, Noah Sharif, and they can also visit. I mean, ask Butterline for my information. I'm more than happy that you guys can pass my information to anybody that want to contact me.
So, for example, you involved in Liberia, and I think a few other African countries or the Ivory Coast. So, what are some of those institutions that you are helped with computer technology?
Yeah, we started this company some 3 years ago now, and we have built a couple of applications. Because I couldn't find, I'm going to be frank here, I'm sorry that I have to say this, but because I couldn't find a software developer when we started some 3 years ago in Liberia, I was forced to go to Nigeria, where I have a team of developers. We have about 10 developers in Nigeria. We pay these guys on a weekly basis. You know, that's money that's supposed to be, that can easily be transferred to Liberia if we have the skill set there, you know. So with these guys, we have a team here in the UK. So we do get contract for people here. We have built a couple of applications for some businesses in the UK. So, and that's one of the reasons I'm trying to move. I'm trying to look at the scale areas in Liberia, you know, so that those opportunities will be going there. So we have build a number of software application, website, and mobile app for company in the UK, and we can do more. But then our challenge is we do not have the skills. Our approach as a consultant is to build software for Liberia where needed, but then also to bring opportunity from elsewhere to Liberian to work on these software. So if we get software project here in the UK, we will have people, developers in Liberia, that will work on that project with us. So it's the same in Cote d'Ivoire. So at the moment, we are active in these 3 areas: Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, and Nigeria. But Cote d'Ivoire, you realize that there are a lot of services that are there that we don't have in Liberia. And then also, you have many developers. Many countries in Africa is really making effort. And Cote d'Ivoire.
So you are talking about. I was just about to ask you, when it comes to challenges, naming this country, for example, Nigeria has a very large population when it comes to the different literacy, right? Mm-hmm. So Cote d'Ivoire also has a very huge population when it comes to different kinds of literacy. So what are some of the challenges, for example, 2 or 3 challenges you think the computer sector going to face in Liberia? Can you speak to that?
Sure. First and foremost is the skill set. We don't have enough skills in Liberia to actually convince investors to move there. We do not have that, and that's something that we really need to work on. If you're going to take on a huge software application, you need a manpower to be able to develop that. So
Right.
that's one of the challenges. And the other one we talk about being the data. As a small company looking at the SME, small businesses, right? They will struggle if the data remains as expensive as it is. These SME will struggle to even transform digitally. So the second challenge that we have, the first is the skill. The second challenge is how do we convince the Liberian people that you can do more with computer than just Facebook and Twitter? That is these services. As a company, you don't want to build something that is not being used by the population. But thankfully, in our case, we are in other places. Nigeria has a very big population, Cote d'Ivoire the same, and we also focusing in Europe. So for the main challenge is the skills, the lack of skills in Liberia, and secondly, the data is extremely expensive. Third, the services we need to create, we need to make awareness about these services. I don't know how much I can say this, but it's very important.
That's true. Brother Jamal, can you
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you, don't, you don't mind reading some of the question from some of our follower
Yeah, that's
or
for sure.
statement?
I will go back there. Thank you very much. Mr. Shay, if you wouldn't mind, we got some questions coming up from audio, but it's a text questions coming through. We
Sure.
just got a few. We'll put a few all on the screen. So if you had the opportunity to answer for us, let me go there. First, we go to there's a guy called Musi Mine. I'm sorry if I misspell your name. This is what the person
Money.
said. Money. He said, how feasible is IT and technology if electricity access is lacking across the country? That's the first question. I think that's a statement he's making as a question. He said, because
Yeah,
we
it's
don't
a
have,
question.
That's a question.
yeah, we don't
Yeah,
have electricity. So how can IT be feasible? That's a question. We don't have it. So all what you're saying, so we're just wasting time. That's what the person seems to be. Can you
I,
address
I,
that?
I really hope not. I'm sure that this person is making a valid point. We need electricity to facilitate these things. But as often the case, business people take challenges. We see in many places in Liberia where generator is being used. We can only do our bit and hope that the government will make these things available. But that's not within our gift. So what is in our gift is to teach IT. We can use generator. I agree with him. It will make the courses costly because as a business person, if you're using generator, you probably put that. You probably increase the money that the students have to pay. But I hope this shouldn't be the case that we don't have electricity, so we can't teach IT. I hope not. But I think it's a valid point that the government needs to look at.
Uh, while we're waiting for another questions, I think, Mark, that's one of the valid points so far. The others are just greetings and so forth. So while we're waiting for a question, Mark, if you mind, let me put one question to
Why not?
Brother Sharif. I got two questions. Well, I'll tell you the first one. The first one is, while you were speaking, talk about you're involved in the fintech in Liberia, application programming in Liberia. I hope I heard you saying that. You said,
Mm-hmm.
understand, be financial something, financial what? Applications. What is
Yeah.
it and what is it? What can you little tell her about what is it like? Because Brother Mark asked you, my colleague just asked you concerning you are involved in any projects in Africa in this country, and I think you didn't hear that well. So we want to take you back to sales. You've got schools going on right now, and
Yeah, absolutely. Or we are in the process of opening the school.
opening schools on IT schools across Liberia. Even you
Yeah,
started with Marubi. You say you got a building on Broad Street already. And
exactly.
now we also share information and people want to know more about it. But the question is, you told us that you're involved in building applications like your financial applications. What is it like? What are can you just a bit explain on that?
Yeah. What we're trying to do as a company is where we deem necessary because we're trying to really show the Liberian people that services that you can do more with computer or even your phone than just Facebook. So one of the projects that we're working on is a fintech product. So you will see that in Liberia, we're trying to build a single solution where people can do all their transaction with it. It will be a wallet-like system, you know, so you can add money to it. I mean, an example would be that if you're going back home and you have £100, for example, if you have that on our wallet, and then you get to Liberia, the product is called Yawali, by the way. You've seen that Yawali is being used and is accepted in Liberia. You probably don't have to go anywhere to change that money. Right from within the app, you can take certain amount from your British pound, convert it to either into Liberian dollar or to a US dollar, you know, and you don't have to leave the app. And then wherever you go, you can use the app to do transaction, you know. I know I am aware that there are many other apps out there, but ours is unique, you know. I don't want to give a lot out very soon.
Just quick question here. Let me break it down for us to understand. I don't know. I didn't get you. People that are listening, you're telling me right now, I want to go to, I've gone to Liberia and I put some money into my wallet. Now that wallet is an electronic wallet. Yeah.
Exactly.
Is that what you mean? Electronic wallet, almost like a mobile money. I put money in there. Then I go to Liberia. I take that money. Can I convert that within my all my applications and take it into Liberian dollars or US dollars? This is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, you can convert it. Basically, I mean, right.
So I don't need to go to banks. I don't need to go anywhere.
No, you don't. You don't need to go anywhere. You can.
So I can buy something with it. I can use that as a mobile money and spend.
Exactly, and then we'll be operating.
So is that application is up and running now?
Yeah, we almost there. Like I said, we are now going through the licensing process with the Liberian government, and that's how involved now at the moment with the Central Bank of Liberia.
Okay.
So hopefully,
another question to that, Mr. Sharif. If I have to send money to Liberia, I got my cousin in Liberia or my aunt. Can I use that same application from here?
Yeah, sure. I mean, because that feature is common in other apps. That's what I focus on the wallet, you know. But you can do more within our app. You can send money, you can request money from somebody, and then someone can send money. You can even use a phone number transaction. And we're trying to operate with all the major mobile money providers in Liberia. So, I mean, we will start causing noise about the app as soon as we get the license sorted. But again, that's not the only project that we have in the pipeline. We also have what we call Start Page Africa coming very soon. And we have
what does that mean? Can you explain to them what you mean by Start Page Africa?
No, what the idea behind Start Page Africa is exactly what we were talking about, data. So we want Start Page Africa to be at least everything. When you open Start Page Africa in Liberia, you will see everything about Liberia. You will see Mine Africa, for example, will show the beauties of Liberia. And then you can see Trade People, Trade Man, you will see them there. You can just connect to someone. If you have a job that you want someone to do, will link you with the right people. And then even I'm a believer that Africa should have its own product. It's good that we have Facebook and Twitter, but we should have these things on our own. We should tell our own story, you know. So similar features will also be included in Start Page Africa. So watch this space. SIT is the name. We are here to stay.
Mike?
I mean, Brother Sharif, spoke very, eloquently about the importance of, computer across Liberia and Africa, but most especially I'm concerned, when it comes to Liberia, how information are processed and how they are gathered across our different institutions in the country, even the private sector. No matter what happens, the government have to have control when it comes to our data, our information, and you name it. So it's an area that the government has to pay attention to. We can't just be doing something, on the paper, and these things paper can get destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you can have it both way, right? For example, like Israel. Israel is a country, they are advancing technology, but they have it both ways because the computer something can go wrong, but still have those things in photo in sensitive information. Excuse me, I'm having hiccups. So sensitive information they got on paper and they got on computer. So, but I mean, computer literacy is something that is one of the key factors behind Western economy. Every organization you go to, there are some computer literacy taking place. They got some their backing, their key backing. It has to be something that is connected to the computer. So I hope our government, I mean, will invest into better Noah Sharif and other people that I mean interested in the idea, even to expand education sector, for example, like in the southeast, they are caught up when it comes to computer literacy. How many children you can go to that you give a common laptop that they will be able to operate a laptop, but only their phone they are used to. So I just want to say thank you, Brother Sharif. As we got a little time left, Brother Jamal, you got something? Any question to add?
Just a second. A question that I want to ask is a quick question. It's have to do with, I mean, it's scary. People like we saying on my job, we saying at the right time, I will be thinking, well, I'm getting scared because if you bring AI, I'm not going to go to sell my stuff anymore. I'm going to be thrown out of this market. Well, how can you alleviate their fear? I mean, most of our mothers and sisters out there in the market doing this, selling this beta boy and stuff like that, and you bring AI, but that mean they are taking it out of the market. What will you tell them?
To embrace the technology.
How would they embrace it? They are already in the market. They sell it to the people. They go to the cash. You just talking about cashless
transaction.
Transaction economy. So where they will be using cash, and these people are used to hold my money, put my money tie on my lapper, and carry and stomp it. So if you take them out, bulk of them are selling in that place. If you take them out, are you taking them out of the market? AI is taking them out of the market, isn't it? That's what you're saying to us.
No, that's not what I'm saying. AI isn't going to take them out of the market, but then either they go along with the technology. The truth is, the technology is here to stay. Okay. Either you go along with it or you be left behind. We have seen it with many other companies in the past. So what I would say, if someone selling beta boy in the market, there's nothing stopping them having a lay presence on the website. And then digital payment, like what I said, Yawali, will also be there. Now in Liberia, thankfully, many people know about mobile money. You know, they can hear the sound when the money comes to their phone. So if someone's selling in the market and they have lay present on the internet, and then they have Yawali there to do payment, someone at home can look at their site to say, okay, this person is closer to me, is in dollar market. It's just 5 minutes away from me. You can, if a business provide these kind of services, you can send text to that person, or you can even buy it and tell the person, send the person text that you bought this product, or you coming to pick it up, or you can send someone to pick it up. And then the technology is there to verify these transactions. You know, it exists. It's just that we're not telling people about them.
You know, someone will listen to you say, are you kidding me? No. You telling somebody in Liberia to send text and stuff like that. When we don't even have the access of most of our people, how many of Liberians are on Facebook and in terms of our market women? How many of them? Very few. They use mobile money, and only a few of them using mobile money, and most of them even being robbed by these money, how do you call them? Our team, Mark, you know them, those who go around saying that they got into Susu, where I take money from them, keep that.
Yeah, but
now come here. No. Then okay. If somebody is there, Mahawa in what they play market name somewhere around Cinco there, where the market is around there, and you're telling me to send text. She doesn't even know how to press the that digital phone. And if you go to them, do you have the opportunity to visit those marketplaces in Liberia who are in dominantly running those marketplaces? There are women, most of them don't even know how to press the button.
I agree to your point, but then you saying that businesses does not have to be one person. I will bet. I'm coming.
So what I'm asking you now is that you advise that there should be some kind of IT education at the basic level. for those people? That's what I'm asking now. I mean, I do understand that we need to advance. We can't be left in that situation. But then with those people at the age group, what can you recommend? Like my colleague was asking you today, working with government, he asked you for some policy, putting some ICT policy in place. We know that they can't be left behind. But then, well, if you are given the opportunity, ask you to advise the government. These are the people that are bulk of them running the marketplaces. If you look at most of our markets, like outside, only a few shops are there, corner shops, provisional shops are there, convenience shops are out there. But most of our food stocks we get from those market stores, marketplaces. So where do you place them? Do you advise that we have a kind of IT education for them to get themselves prepared for the AI, or what is this? If you have to advise, and like Macaulay asked you, what will you be telling the government to do?
No, sure. I mean, definitely.
And to add on the question, how protected is the system for these market women Jomar is talking about? How protected is the system? For example, if it's hacked, somebody got a few $1,000 from selling a billboard, they got a few $1,000 in your system, and the system, how protected is it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's a very good question. Of course, we need to provide computer education to take these people along. Otherwise, they will struggle with the new world order, I will say this is a fact that IT, internet, they are here to stay. So we, as a society, need to prepare our older people. But I would argue that bringing them digitally transforming their businesses will provide them more security than leaving them with cash. People will know, like you said, people will rob them. They have the cash with them and all of that. Whereas the digital transformation left somebody buying stuff from you online. What I was trying to say, Bro Jimmy, even though I understand your point and I agree with you, we should educate them, is that in every family, we don't have to wait as a society to have everybody educated before we can start the digital transformation. I would say that everybody in every family in Liberia, you would at least have somebody that knows something about mobile. If their mom and dad doesn't know anything, they will know something about it, and that person is capable of communicating. Mama, this person has bought this product. They have seen the money. The money has been sent to your mobile money, and the person is coming for it. Or I will come for you and I will take this. Sorry, I will take this. Sorry. This is an interesting topic. I will take this and give it to the person, right? So there, business has been made in many places. The mother is in the market, can sell the business, but then the kids at home is also helping. That can even be a job for that person, that they monitor the site of their parents, Sorry. So that's that. And then you talk about the guarantee. Of course, I mean, if we're going to provide software for people like our mobile app, the Yawali app that I talk about, security is paramount. People, their money in there will be secure. Security is paramount. So let's say even when the app is stolen, and then if it is reported to us, we will block that. They will block access to that person's account immediately. So security should be guaranteed. Give people the confidence to do that digital transformation. And to be frank with that, I think that's one of the issue that's holding people behind. They don't trust the internet. They're not seeing it, so they don't want to transform their businesses digitally. But I can assure people that you have trusted application out there.
Well, having said that, Brother Jomar, I think we got like 6 minutes to go, right? Do you have any closing remark for our brother and the audience listening and following before Brother Sheriff can leave us?
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want one last question to that will be my last comment, and from there you will take it from there. Just our guest to tell us the potential challenges and risk involved that we need to advise on if we have to invest. Consider you are asking the government to invest into this IT or AI. What are the potential challenges or risks once you consider before government will invest into this AI?
Yeah, I mean, government or any other person.
Any other
I think
person, for
any
any
other
other person,
business.
government or stuff,
Yeah.
because government may have the fund. I'm considering Liberia as a case in point because we may not have the fund to invest in. Government is the only one capable right now to invest into that particular program because it's very expensive, capital intensive.
Yeah. No, sure. My advice to the government would be to facilitate the transformation, put in place the infrastructures, or help bring in investors in these areas. I will argue again, the data is one of them. And then make a lot of noise about services that internet provide other than just Facebook. I believe that will transform Liberia, you know. So until we can use the full potentials of the internet and the services that they bring, will be lacking behind, in my opinion. So these are the areas. Government should be an enabler, make data cheap, like electricity. Someone talk about that, and then providing the curriculum, the curriculum in schools with regard to IT should be vigorously looked at, and then if we have the skills required to manage our activity, we wouldn't need external people coming in to do it for us, which will minimize the risks as well. But again, government should not just invest for investment's sake. It should be needed by the country. And I do believe that AI related activities and internet as a whole or computer as a whole is what Liberia is crying for at the moment.
Okay. I just want to drop in this quick question so you can educate our Liberian people. So, for example, most Liberian African only know about Google search engine. Can you tell Liberian people the other few search engines are out there so they can be aware besides Google?
Yeah, sure. And then the world's search engine now is even becoming is broad. You get Facebook, you can do search there now. You get Twitter, you can do search. But then when you talk about search engine in a traditional term, you're probably looking at Google, you're looking at Yahoo, you're looking at Microsoft Bing. But the most popular among them is Google. You have other countries that have got their own search engine, like China, which we don't hear about. Russia is one of these. It has got its own search engine. But these are the ones that are used by many countries around the world. So
Okay.
Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft Bing.
Okay. Having said that, Brother Sherry, you got parting statement for our people listening, and you can say a parting statement, woman.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. First and foremost, to the organizer, to you, thanks for having me on the show. I think we should do many of this in the future. I think this is a good platform. It's a good start. The more we talk about these things, the more the society, Liberia, will be informed, and through that we will have actionable actions, that we can do. So once again, thanks to your audience for listening to me, and I want to say that SIT Technology is a company that will make a difference in Liberia. Watch this space, and thank you very much for having me.
And on behalf of the Bottom Line, Brother Sherry, we look forward to having you on the show again, maybe after every 3 months, to keep the Liberian people updated about your activity back home and how we can also be, the Bottom Line can be a helping tool that you can help. You can reach the Liberian people across that want to go back home and also share the knowledge. And I want to say again, on behalf of Bottom Line, thanks a lot for the idea you're sharing back home, and we wish you the best of luck in spreading the knowledge, because the IT era we live in a Western society. Everywhere you go, there's IT processing, computer processing. So we need, Liberia, we are down that belt, so we need to encourage our people to invest into that area. There are a lot of educated people, a lot of people with computer literacy that can also join your team, not particularly your team, but join you guys in an effort to help move our country forward, because we need as I stated before when Brother Jeremiah and I were talking, the immigration sector, we need people with computer skill. The health sector, we need people with computer skill. The foreign ministry, we need people with computer skill. The finance ministry, we need people with computer skill. The commerce ministry. So this area got thousands of employment, but it left with the kind of attention that government put into it. And we have the human resource capacity, for example, like our brothers and sisters that are left behind that they call, Zocos, right? It hurt me a lot when we use the remark on these people, because it is society that is responsible. Because our society played government played their role, not this government, but from the past government. I don't think our human resource will be greatly affected. So, Brother Noah, we look forward to having you again on behalf of the Bottom Line, Brother Joma. It was a nice show, and look forward to bringing more people like Brother Sharif on the program to see our best, because we are here today because of what happened to our motherland, Liberia. And every Liberian, there isn't a day that go by no Liberian doesn't think about Liberia. It's like a child to every one of us. It's like a mother to every one of us. And Brother Sharif, I will take your contact, so we'll be in touch, and we look forward to having you maybe in the next 2-3 months time to follow, as I said. Brother Joma, and thanks to our many Liberian listeners again for following.
Thank you. Have a positive.
Thank you.
This is the Bottom Line Liberia. This is the Bottom Line Liberia. Join us on Facebook, YouTube, and online radio. This is the Bottom Line Liberia. Join us on Facebook, YouTube, and online radio.